beings keep asking ourselves is this question, when it comes to our leaders, the people that are in charge of us, our presidents, our prime ministers, or whoever it is that you want to call them, whatever it is that you call them in your respective country. We've all asked ourselves this question, especially of late. And the question is, how did we get here? You know, and what I've noticed in the social media space is that a lot of people are asking themselves, how did we get here? Because of this mass migration or mass immigration or large scale immigration issue. I'm just looking at Uncle P now, and he is, you know, uh, talking about the protests that are currently taking place in Japan. And the reason why the Japanese are protesting is because their president is deciding or has decided to do a large scale immigration, and he is bringing in thousands, hundreds of thousands of African immigrants. And if you know very well, or if you know my channel, what I have been sharing so far, I've been saying to all and sundry to say, do not accept this. Basically, whatever country that you are in, as a country, you must retaliate, you must push back, you must never ever accept mass immigration. Okay, that mass immigration, the time for it once happened and it has passed. Okay, there was once a time when mass immigration was possible, it was doable, and it would have worked, but not in this day and age. You understand? We have been solidified, we have been, what's the word? We have been established into a whole lot of different cultures, systems, and value systems and way of being, that that whole thing of mass immigration will never ever work, not in this day and age. You understand? So never ever accept, do not accept it. Do not accept mass immigration. It is very, very destructive. All right. So right now, where we are, we need to respect our borders, and we need to live within our borders. Everyone, right now, we are going through a reckoning, basically. This is a reckoning for us as humanity. And what we need to be doing is we need to be dealing with the realities of who we are as a people, as a collective, as a nation. This is what we need to be doing. We need to be dealing with that reality, because that reality is slapping us in the face right now. The reality of who we are as a collective, as a nation, as a country is hitting us very hard in the face. You understand? Someone once said something that is, it can sound very terrible, but there are some real elements of truth in it. They said every nation gets the leader that it deserves. It's very harsh when you are dealing with a leader that is psychopathic or narcissistic. It's very harsh. It's really horrible. It's really painful. But unfortunately, there's some truth to that statement, especially when you're looking at the situation from a spiritual perspective. What am I talking about here? Let me tell you about South Africa. So, as a spiritual person, one of the things that I observe, especially with regards to narcissism, is how that narcissism has been normalized, of course, in society and everywhere. And then, but when I look at my country, South Africa specifically, over the many past years, at least 30 years, um, what I have observed is that, our society is one that has normalized narcissism, and every country has its own level of narcissism, its own type of narcissism, the most prominent one, right? So here in South Africa, the most prominent form of narcissism is covert narcissism. You understand? So majority of the time, so when you're dealing with very violent and hostile and aggressive and very overt type of narcissists, most of the time these are not really your South African type of narcissist. This would be people coming from other places, but your typical South African narcissist is typically a covert narcissist. So this is a polished version of a narcissist, you understand? So this is the narcissist that has learned to be polite, to play nice, to create the right kind of facade, you understand, to hide their narcissism. That's the prominent narcissist here in South Africa. Okay. So now what has happened is that for the rest of us as South Africans, we have normalized that. We have normalized narcissism because we, for whatever reason, perhaps we didn't know even that there was such a thing as narcissism, or, I don't know. But the fact is, we have normalized it. We have, and sometimes the reason why we allow it to be is because the narcissists are people that are close to us. They are our relatives, they are our loved ones. Sometimes they are even our lovers, they are our parents and children, cousins and friends. So these narcissists are people in our lives. And for some funny reason, we have allowed their narcissism to be, and for them to basically go about in life as if they are normal human beings. They are normal people. They are one of us, and there's nothing strange about them. We know, we would be knowing very well, we would be very much aware that even if we don't know anything about the term narcissism, but you would be very aware that this person that you are dealing with here, there's something wrong with them. Because of course, if you're dealing with a narcissistic person, number one, they lack empathy. And so there's a way that they conduct themselves. It doesn't matter if they know how to play polite or whatever. Even energetically, you will know that you are dealing with someone who is not naturally human, kind of a thing. You understand? Energetically, you'll just know that you are dealing with something that is not okay. All right. So, and we have sensed that, we have seen it, but we have let it slide. All right. We have allowed the gaslight to take place. We have allowed them to gaslight us, and we have even gaslit ourselves. And thus creating the way for narcissists to literally thrive in our society. All right. Because here's the thing, a narcissist is a narcissist. It doesn't matter if they are covert or if they are sociopathic, or pardon me, if they are overt. So it doesn't matter if a narcissist is covert or overt, they are still a narcissist. A narcissist is a narcissist regardless of how they are showing up. You understand? So what has happened is, because this kind of narcissism, once again, is not the kind of narcissism that you immediately pick up on the level of danger that it poses. Like, for example, when you're dealing with a sociopath type of a person, it's very easy to pick up that, okay, fine, this is a dangerous person, and we need to keep ourselves safe from this, and we need to run away, or we need to protect ourselves. But when it comes to a covert narcissist, you don't immediately see the danger. Half the time you find yourself maybe questioning yourself and all of that. But by the time you actually realize the level of harm that a covert narcissist can create or can cause, it's usually very, very late, because by the time you catch on to them, they have gone very, very far. You understand? So this is what we have been dealing with as a society here in South Africa. Where we are right now, we are in a position where we have created a very conducive environment for covert narcissists to thrive. We have seen that, yes, they are polite, yes, they are polished, yes, they seem to possess the typical stuff that are on the surface, quote unquote, normal. But we have also witnessed that even despite all of that, there is something sinister about this person, because this person is too superficial. This person, as I said, they lack empathy. This person has a mean spirit to them, and something about them is just not right. There's a way that they move that doesn't feel like this person is actually invested in the well being of humanity in general. And so, because we have seen that, and we still decided to turn a blind eye to it, and we still decided to excuse it, and to basically just allow it to be, and say, no, everyone has issues, and so on and so on. We created an environment where narcissists have thrived in our community, in our society. We've allowed them to be our pastors, our school teachers. We've allowed them to be people that occupied prominent positions in our society, to a point where we've even allowed them to reach a position of presidency. And this is what we are dealing with here. We are dealing with a situation right now as a country where we've got a covert narcissist of a president. And we are wondering, how did we get here? How did we end up with a covert narcissist for a president? We ended up with a covert narcissist for a president. And of course, this is my opinion. This is my take. Okay, so I don't want, Ramaphosa to come here and start saying that he's gonna send his comrades to me because I'm speaking negatively about him, and he doesn't like people speaking negatively about them, because narcissists don't like people, calling them out. When people call them out, then they will say that people are speaking negatively about them, because that's how they interpret things. So let's just say this is my opinion. But the reality of the matter, which is still once again my opinion, we are dealing with a situation where we've got a covert narcissist there. You've seen him. You see how soft spoken he is. You've seen how polite and polished he is, and his polished English and everything, and how very elite. That's why they call him Cupcake. I don't know why they call him Cupcake, but yeah, I'm sure it aligns with his elitism. How he's so exclusive and everything. So we are dealing with that situation where we've got that type of a person as our president, right? Someone who's in charge of our country. How did we end up with someone like that? Like, I mean, by the time this person got to that position, he would have encountered and he would have been, observed by many, many people. How come all those people saw him as he is and they still allowed him to be? Why? Because majority of the people are just like him, number one. Number two, others who are not like him, they saw the situation and they still allowed it to be. They did not call him to account. They did not challenge him. They did not create an environment where it would be difficult for him to thrive in his nature. This is why we ended up in this situation where we've got this kind of a president. Cyril Ramaphosa is the perfect image of the problem that we are dealing with here in South Africa when it comes to covert narcissism. He is the poster child for the problem of narcissism that we are dealing with in South Africa, because I am telling you the truth when I say to you that the whole world, the problem that we are all dealing with as humanity is narcissism. We are not dealing with anything else. We are not dealing with corruption. We are not dealing with wars. We are not dealing with oil issues. We are dealing with narcissism. The only thing that humanity is grappling with and fighting with and battling with is narcissism. That's the only thing. That's the only enemy of humanity. And so here in South Africa, what life is doing to us is that it is showing us exactly what it is that we have been denying. Again, we refuse. We refuse. People say, no, don't talk about narcissism. We all narcissists. Narcissists, this, why would you call everything narcissist? You always point everything is no, no. We all we are dealing with is people being in denial of reality, being in denial of the truth. Narcissism exists, and narcissism is a big, big problem. And as long as we continue to deny it, the more it's going to continue to keep biting us in the ass the way that it has been doing. We will keep putting people in positions of power and authority, and they will keep betraying us as they have been betraying us. And we will be wondering, how did we get here? We got here because you didn't want to hear when people told you there are narcissists in this world. When people are saying so and so, look at this situation, look at how this person is conducting themselves. No, you don't want to listen because it's your child. Okay? No, you don't want to listen because this is someone that you are benefiting from in some shape or form. You don't want to see the reality of the fact that this person is actually toxic. This person is actually, there's something that is not right about them energetically. So, as long as we are in denial about the reality here in South Africa of the fact that we've got a problem of narcissism, this is why we end up with leaders like Cyril Ramaphosa. Cyril Ramaphosa is a representative of many people here in South Africa. Every narcissist that we have decided to turn a blind eye to, every covert narcissist that we decided to uplift just because they look polished, just because they look right on paper, and we didn't care about their real conduct, their real personality, their nature. We always look at the surface level stuff. As every single covert narcissist that we let slide has shown up now in the form of Cyril Ramaphosa, and he is showing us flames. All right, he is showing us serious flames. Okay, and the reason why he is showing us flames is so that we can ask ourselves that question once again: how did we get here? We got here because we chose to deny, we chose to ignore reality, ignore the truth of the situation. I know of many women who have raised narcissistic children. Many women who have raised narcissistic children. And guess what they have done? They kept quiet and they denied, they lived in denial about the fact that their children were narcissistic. And instead, what they did is they allowed those narcissistic children to wreak havoc in the family system and wreak havoc in society. And they quietly allowed all of that to happen. And then eventually, when all of these things collapsed and deteriorated, then everyone is asking themselves, how did these things happen? How did this happen? I'm not going to talk about the karma that the parent that raises a narcissistic child and denies the narcissism of the child. I'm not going to talk about it, but there is that karma. I've seen it, I've witnessed it, but I'm not going to go into it. But what I'm going to say is that I have seen it happen. And eventually things deteriorate, the family system deteriorates, the community deteriorates, and everyone is asking themselves, putting their hands on their heads, wondering, how did we get here? You got here because you are in denial. You are in denial of reality. You are in denial of the situation. You are in denial of what is happening, of the truth. You are ignoring the truth. You are fighting against the truth. You are hoping the truth will disappear. Then one day, the very same parent that has raised a narcissistic child and allowed the narcissism to run amok is wondering, why are we having a president such as Cyril Ramaphosa? We are having a president such as Cyril Ramaphosa because again, this is the kind of people that we have normalized in society. Instead of calling them out, instead of creating an environment that is hostile towards narcissism, an environment that is not conducive for being narcissistic, instead of doing that, we allowed them to be. So when they end up becoming our president, we are wondering, oh, look at us now. We are suffering. Cyril has betrayed us. We don't have a president anymore. Look at us. No, this has happened because we have allowed it to be. We're thinking that, oh, no, we can just do it, on a personal level, and somehow it's not going to show up on a grander scale. Let me just do it on a micro scale. It's not going to reflect at a macro level. No, it's going to reflect, it's going to show, and it's showing here in the form of our president. And as long as we allow people to conduct themselves in a certain way within society, we allow toxicity, we allow heartlessness, we allow all these things that narcissists do, and then we normalize them, we make them okay. As long as we are okay with such things in our society, we will keep finding ourselves in this situation because life has a way of once again showing us who we are, showing us what it is that we have okayed, showing us what it is that we have allowed. We can deny all we want that no, we don't tolerate toxic people in our lives. We don't tolerate toxicity. We don't tolerate people that are gossips. We don't tolerate people that are superficial and manipulative and controlling and all those things, people that are two-faced and all of that, people that wear masks. We will keep saying, no, we don't do that. And we'll keep deceiving ourselves and each other. But reality will always show us the truth. It will always show us the truth. And when it comes to the kind of presidents that we have, there's no greater truth than that. That's why people shouldn't be running away, because people are running away from their truths. People are running away from their reality. Don't run away from your country. Stay in your country. Stay with the truth and the ask yourself the question, how did I end up here with this kind of a leader? Let's go to Zimbabwe. So in Zimbabwe, you've got the kind of leader that is allowing his people to starve and all of those things. So we're still dealing with a narcissist. He's still a narcissist, but what kind of narcissist is this? Because here in South Africa, our narcissists are covert. They are polished, they are well spoken, they are articulate and everything. Let's look at the narcissist in Zimbabwe, the one that is in charge there. He is more of a psychopath kind of a leader, isn't it? My opinion. But that's the space that he's, operating in. He's very psychopathic, because that one is a tyrant to a certain extent. Like, he's very tyrannical to a point where there's really no freedom of speech in Zimbabwe, is there? There's no freedom of speech. You cannot start calling him cupcake and all of those things. Covert narcissists will let you call them things, and covert narcissists will really, play the innocent victim. They will come across as if they don't really, they're not going to, they will allow you an illusion. They'll give you the illusion that you are free to be yourself, even though you are really not, because they always passive aggressively retaliate. That's why you are seeing how our president is passive aggressively retaliating to us for having given him that 40% and this GNU situation that he's now in. His retaliation is literally putting us in the position that he has put us in right now. You understand the fact that he has allowed things to deteriorate even more in the country, and he's looting even more, 10 times more, him and his friends. And basically he's allowed the country to deteriorate like so much, and even allowed even so much mass immigration to take place. You understand? Like, literally, it's like you can see that this term that he is on now, just because he only got 40%, he is making us feel it. He's making us feel that, yeah, you are paying, you're gonna pay for making me that 40%, but he will never tell you that. You understand? So that's how the covert narcissists operate. They will not tell you that you're actually being punished for doing this and that. Now, when it comes to a psychopathic person, particularly a psychopathic president, such as the one that is in Zimbabwe, how he operates is that, the minute you start saying anything negatively against him, the minute you start moving negatively against him in any shape or form, you don't even get to finish that action before you get punishment. You understand? So he has already set systems and things in place so that anyone that tries to rise up against him get to pay a hefty price very quickly, and they also get to be made an example to others as well. There is no freedom there. There's no freedom in Zimbabwe. No freedom of expression, no freedom of anything. Basically, you are just existing there. And now, it's so interesting, because you are in a country where you are not free, and you've got all these laws and systems in place that are keeping you in check, but at the same time you are subject to the most horrendous forms of poverty. So this person doesn't this person is literally starving you to death. You and your family, you are literally being starved to death, and you have no right to express your frustrations to that effect. That's really how psychopaths operate. You have no right whatsoever. The minute you start expressing the fact that, you know what, actually we are suffering as Zimbabweans, that's the minute your president is going to discipline you very, very harshly. So, meaning he is abusing you, and he has even deprived you. You are both being abused and simultaneously deprived of the right to even, retaliate or even express your frustration to that effect. Now, let's talk about what this says about Zimbabweans. So, what I've seen here, based on the little bit of experience that I've had with Zimbabweans, or what I've observed about them here in South Africa, is that Zimbabweans have, so basically, their form of narcissism that they are grappling with, that they are dealing with, is a psychopathic one. Okay. Is a psychopathic one, is there's an aggressive streak to their form of narcissism. All right. There is this, I wouldn't even call it sadistic, because the way I see it, for me, it reads as very hostile and malevolent, very violent. Yes, it's very violent. There is a violent, so maybe I don't know if we should call them malignant narcissists or what, but they are violent. Their form of narcissism is a very violent form of narcissism. It's a certain type of cruelty about it that overtly enjoys, instigating very causing harm, like outward harm, and outright just causing harm and enjoying yourself as you are doing that. That's what I have witnessed with a lot of and once again, it's not that everyone in Zimbabwe is like that, just like not everyone in South Africa is like that, you understand? But the narcissists of Zimbabwe, that's how they show up in their narcissism. Okay, so these are very violent people that are very malignant, you know. So you are dealing with malignant type of narcissists there. And so once again, the people of Zimbabwe have allowed this to be. They have allowed their malignant narcissists in their societies, in their families, in their communities, in their country, in their culture to thrive. They've said, no, it's okay. It's okay to be like that. Leave them alone. They are my child. As long as he's in Debele, it's fine. He can be as malignant as he wants. He can be as psychopathic as he wants to be. Leave him be. You understand? You don't touch him. And as long as he's Shona, let him just be himself and be as malignant and as, horrible as he is. That's okay. Just let him be. That's the problem. So people have not been correcting each other. People have not been challenging the narcissism within each other. And because they haven't been challenging this thing, it shows up. They allow it to be, isn't it? So one minute this person is a child, and we are, patting them on the back as they're busy doing all these horrible, nasty things. We are letting them be. We are spoiling them, loving them, and pretending as if whatever it is that they're doing is okay. Then next minute, this person is in charge of a country. Everyone is starving, and we are wondering, how did we get here? We got here because we allowed it to be from get go. We've been allowing it to be. We've been allowing it to happen. So this is where it has gotten to. The little bit of narcissism that you are allowing to thrive in that little bit itty bitty space that you are allowing it to thrive in, ultimately and eventually it's going to end up on top of the government of your country. And then you're going to be wondering, how did we get here? We got here because we allowed it to be. We allowed it to be. In the family, we allowed the narcissist to be. This person was tyrannical. This person was busy causing problems, bullying other children in the household, bullying their siblings, trying to control everything, causing havoc, and no one was calling them out. They allowed and created an environment where this type of toxicity was able to thrive to a point where it got to a position of authority. So as long as Zimbabweans are not willing to look at themselves and say, how are we allowing toxicity to thrive in our midst? Of course, once again, because the narcissism issue is a problem here in society, majority of the population will ideally or typically be narcissistic. You understand? But those that are not narcissists should not be allowing these things to thrive. Those that are not narcissists should be challenging the narcissism in their midst. They should be saying, not in my name. Narcissism will not thrive in my name. Because you, as a good person, you are the one that suffers the most when things turn chaotic. Narcissists thrive when things are chaotic. You understand? Malignant narcissists, psychopathic narcissists from Zimbabwe, they are fine with this environment that Zimbabwe has been subject to right now. They are fine with it because they know that they can always do crime, and it feeds their narcissism for them to be harming people because that's who they are. It's right up their alley. It feels good when they're busy destroying people's lives and just causing tremendous harm to people. It's okay. It works for them. They can live with that. But you, as a good person of Zimbabwe, that doesn't work for you. It hurts you. And worst of all, you are bearing the brunt of all these horrible things that these other people are doing. Now, in Zimbabweans, visas are being banned all over the world. No one wants Zimbabweans, just like no one wants Nigerians. We're going to get to Nigeria just now. But no one wants Zimbabweans because of the violence, because of the criminality. And you, as the good person, you are paying the price for that, even though you are not engaging in those things. It's about time you start, this is the great reckoning. When it comes to the presidents that we are having, they are giving us an opportunity to really ask ourselves questions. What is it that we are okaying in our lives, in our midst? It's one thing to allow other people to be and to mind your own business, about a lot of things. But when it comes to conduct, in terms of, how do we conduct each other with regards to each other as human beings, that is so important. There are a lot of things that we should not be okay with. If someone is toxic, and one of the easiest way to see that someone is toxic is just how they conduct themselves towards other people. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be towards you, but it's generally how they conduct themselves towards other people. So for you as a Zimbabwean, these people are busy committing crimes in front of you all the time, and you are okay with it. You keep quiet. You think it's normal. And then you wonder, why is it that you are stuck with the kind of president that you are stuck with? It's because you have okayed this kind of behavior. You have okayed tyranny in your midst. Right now, let's talk about Tunubi. I keep forgetting how to pronounce it, but the Nigerian president. And then we'll be done. So now with the Nigerian president, this is someone that is, yeah. This is a very funny one, this one, okay? Because he is literally um allowing his people, I'm laughing, but it's not funny. Okay, so this person is very old, you know he's so old that, yeah, apparently people even make the joke and say that, pardon me, they make jokes about him and say this is someone that you have to resuscitate every morning for them to be able to function. Because he's that old, and apparently he lives in Italy, right? So, these are the people that will blame the West for why Africa is suffering. But guess what? They live in the West. Their children live in the West. They do everything from the West. They invest their money in the West. I mean, they talk about a bunch of hypocrites, but that's how narcissists are, nonetheless. So this person, okay, lives in the West like that, and then yet his people are suffering. Okay, and he's generally, like, whenever it is that he engages, whenever it is that I listen to him, it sounds like he doesn't even understand what's going on in his country, and it sounds like he doesn't even understand the role that he has played in that regard, with regards to whatever it is that's going on in his country. So the way I see him is that he's an overt narcissist. All right. He's an overt narcissist. He's an overt narcissist. And he probably has some kind of psychopathy in him, because all of them would typically have that horrible evil streak in them, like that level of evil in them, to be able to reach those kind of positions. All right, so there would even with Ramaphosa, there will definitely be some kind of psychopathy, but and also usually a covert narcissist is a sort of like low key psychopath to a certain extent, if you really look a little bit deeper into it. All right, so but Tinibo is more of an overt narcissist, kind of the flamboyant one. You understand, the one that has this kind of the fleshy narcissist, the show off type of a narcissist is, and the one that it's almost as if now with his old age, his narcissism and his delusions and his madness is on full display right now, because it's like whenever it is that he talks, as I said, he displays the fact that he's out of touch with reality. You understand? Many of them do, but more so this gentleman here, this president of Nigeria, like, he displays how that he's just out of touch with reality. He's clear. It's clear that he's the type of person that lives the soft life. He's not even hiding it. He lives in Italy and he's just enjoying himself, and he couldn't be bothered by anyone else. He couldn't be bothered with anyone else. And the mere fact that he runs his country from a computer in Italy just, cracks me up, because it reminds me of this thing of Nigerians. They're always busy with their computer, and they're always busy scamming people on their computer. And they are usually scamming people from other countries. So it's like it's a thing, with Nigerians. Do you see that connection? It's like a thing with them. They're always interacting with people from other countries, but whatever those interactions are, they're usually up to no good. Okay, and then of course, so what is this kind of president saying? What message, what is he telling? What story is he telling about the people of Nigeria? What he's telling us is that Nigeria is dealing with this problem of overt narcissism, you know. Um, and yes, Nigerians are also aggressive as well, and they can also be very violent. But more than anything, um, Nigerians are all about just chasing the soft life at all costs. That's really what you're dealing with. That's pretty much a very overt narcissistic type of an energy. You know, the problem that you are dealing with there in Nigeria is the problem of the fact that you want to live the soft life, you want to show off, and sometimes you're even competing with each other about how that you can, achieve a whole lot of superficial and materialistic things, but you are never concerned or interested in anything beyond that soft life. So it's like, get the soft life at all costs, and then once you get the soft life, don't be bothered about anything or anyone else. In fact, it's better if everyone else is suffering, because then they can appreciate your elevation, your wonderfulness even better, even more. They can appreciate how wealthy and successful you are even more when they are suffering. That's the energy that is prevalent with Nigeria. Okay. And this is how you ended up with the kind of president that you have ended up with, because this is the kind of narcissism that you have allowed to thrive in your community. When people are all about, materialism and showing off and doing it at all cost, and you don't care how they're making their money, you don't care about moral ethics and values and all of those things, and you just care about, as long as you see someone who is rich, you are praising them, you are respecting them, you are uplifting them. And rich people are like gods to Nigerians. Rich people are very respected and, approved of by Nigerians. Once again, it doesn't matter where they get the money, as long as they are rich. As long as you are rich in Nigeria, you are important. Superficial importance is important in Nigeria. And this is how you get this kind of president, because, you know, rich people in Nigeria do not care about the poor people, to a point where it's people from other places that have to come there to do some kind of programs that are uplifting communities, other people from other countries. So yesterday I was just watching something, a program of sorts, and someone was saying that apparently Nigeria has about maybe some a certain amount of the richest people in Africa. So it's almost as if the richest people in Africa are from Nigeria. And I wonder if that's the reason why they say that Nigeria is the giant of Africa. But so now these richest people that are, these richest people in Africa who are in Nigeria, is like, what is the purpose of Nigeria having the richest people in its country when millions, if not hundreds of millions of people in Nigeria are starving, they are dying, they are suffering, they live in squalor? What's the purpose of having richest people there? What is the purpose of all this money that these people have? So all this money that these people have, what are they doing with it? Chances are they're enjoying themselves and their soft life, and they're letting everyone else suffer. They're not trying to do anything to even, change the dynamic of that country. So for me, the way that I see it, it's like, no, Nigerians, you have allowed this level of evil to prevail and to thrive in your country. And so now, whenever it is that you're asking yourself, how did we get here? How did we end up with a president like this? Remember, remember your neighbor, your relative, your child, your parent, your cousin, your friend, whoever it is that you have seen and witnessed being this type of a person that is obsessed with only the superficial things only, and with only achieving material success at all cost. And then you were okay with it, you okayed it, and you did not even bother to challenge it, to say, but you know what, let's focus on how is it that we can grow the community, how is it that we as a nation can actually build ourselves up. But instead you allowed people to focus on individual success, self-centered type of success, self-aggrandizement and importance. You allowed that type of energy to thrive in your midst, and indeed it did thrive, and indeed it eventually ended up sitting in on the seat of the president. And now you are wondering, how did we get here? Your president is a reflection of the collective energy that you guys are carrying there. Everyone from Nigeria is all over the world. Everyone is coming to South Africa from Nigeria. Everyone is going to America, UK, all the African countries that they keep, all the white men countries that they keep saying, oh no, we are not colonized. They keep going there. And then when they get there, they make all this money. But guess what they do with the money that they make? They build themselves big houses. And right outside of those houses, there isn't even a tar road. They're not even trying to build a tar road on their own streets. That's how, individualized their way of wealth making is. That's how selfish that whole thing is with them. Nigerian mansions, they are so huge. Many of them are actually bigger than our mansions here in South Africa. But right outside of that mansion, literally, it's gravel road, or it's a very, very dingy, dodgy, strange type of a road that you will struggle with your car on that road. And those type of places many a times would be places where they are considered to be well-off people. But those well-off people can't even come together to say, oh, let's build tar roads here in our community. Let's build streets, let's make this place to look decent. They don't do that. It just, it's all about them. People could be suffering all right around them, right next to them. you know they remind me a lot when I consider some of those circumstances and conditions that these Nigerians will be building their mansions in. They remind me of the former president that we had here in South Africa, who built his little mansion called Nkandla, or his little mansion in his village called Nkandla. And then it's like right outside his house is a gravel road, and or maybe the only road that has tar is the one that goes to his house, but everywhere else it's gravel. And everyone else, they are really in a state of poverty. Their houses are in shambles, and you can see that this is a very, very poverty stricken village. But you've got the president building a huge mansion there, and he appreciates the fact that everyone is looking at him and is like, wow, look at that house, it's the biggest house in the community. That's how Nigerians operate as well, the Nigerian narcissism energy. It's like, as long as everyone can look at me and they say, wow, your house is so big, wow, you are so successful, that's good enough. That's good enough. It doesn't matter that the rest of the population is suffering. You want to buy brands, wear brands. We've got this idiot called Simon Gobadia, and I'm gonna call him an idiot because I do not like that man at all. At all. I wouldn't be surprised if this man is actually a Nigerian warlock. Warlock. I wouldn't be surprised. And he's all over the place, all over the world, Dubai and doing everything and all of that. And people are starving. and dying. Children are dying in Nigeria by the thousands and millions. But he's all over Dubai. He's all over. These days, he's even here in Cape Town. And of course, they're never up to anything good. That's that narcissism that says, I want the quick way out and I always want to make money the most easiest way. And I do not care who I hurt in the process. So your president is doing exactly that. He's making so your president is scamming you as you are scamming the world. So this is how we end up with narcissistic and psychopathic presidents. When we ask ourselves, how did we get here? We got here because we okayed it. We allowed it to be. We thought it was fine. We thought it was amusing when people conducted themselves in a way that is unbecoming in our presence. We thought, oh, okay, fine, let's just let them be. Let's just be tolerant of other people. We tolerated them all the way until they became presidents, and then they started showing us their true colors. And then we felt the sting. We felt the heat. Now we know that these are the kind of things that we shouldn't have allowed. I'm not sure if we have really learned our lessons where that's concerned, particularly us here in South Africa. I'm not sure if we've really learned our lessons. Let's see how it goes. Let's see. But one thing that I know that I trust where the invisible forces of life are concerned is that they'll always deliver the lessons that we need to learn. They'll always do that for us. They'll always give us that gift. That even if we refuse to see this situation for what it is when it comes to our president, it doesn't matter. One way or the other, we are still going to have to learn the lessons. There are still going to be a whole lot of things that will keep happening in our lives that will show us that it's not okay to be okay with evil. It's not okay to be accepting of evil. And there are a lot of things in this world that can come across as if they look harmless, they look innocent, they look like, no, insignificant or whatever. You can just let it slip. You can just let it pass. There's a lot of things that we have okayed and that we easily okay in our world that always come back to bite us, to show us that we are not supposed to be okay with evil. We are not supposed to be tolerant of it. We are not supposed to let it slide. We are not supposed to be allowing it to be. We are not supposed to be creating an environment where evil of any form gets to thrive. And as long as we don't get to that point, the guys will keep delivering the messages to us until we get it. All right. So thank you so much for spending time with me. Until next time, goodbye.